Hi, today we're going to talk about compressions and tensions as well as force and torque on a 3D structure. What we're looking at here is a three-dimensional bridge that has force sensors already built into it. If you look on the bottom left-hand force sensor data, you will see that I'm now compressing the force sensor that is located on my bottom left beam. Same thing happens when I go to the bottom right. You can see that force goes up. Likewise, I have force sensors located on the main horizontal members. My left main member is in the top left-hand corner, and my right main member is in my top right-hand data on the screen. You'll also see that I have two force sensors located under compression and tension inside the truss, and they are located in the center of the center columns. This would be the top center, and this would be the bottom center. And so we're going to take a look at how forces act on a structure like this as objects move from location to location. The forces aren't equally distributed across the structure. They are determined based on the locations away from the main supports. And so I take a look at this cart that's sitting on here, and it's sitting on the road bed. When I place it right in the middle of the first section, you can see that the bottom left data has a force on it of 1 Newton. As I move this across, the force is equally distributed between the left and the right. And then when I get over here onto the right side, we get a force on there equivalent to almost 1 Newton. That's because the forces are closer to this main beam on the right-hand side, and so they are going to distribute down this beam instead of traveling all the way back through to this side. This will have a greater force than on the other truss side. Now, when I take a look at heavier mass, we can see this force distribution much greater. So when I place this mass on top of the truss system and we balance it off, we can see that the left-hand side has on it a much greater force than on the right-hand side. Same thing will happen when I place it on the right-hand side. Balance it off, and you can see almost all of the force is located on that right-hand side. When I place it right in the middle, the forces are pretty well balanced. Each side seeing about 4.5 newtons of force. You can see that on there, the bottom left and the bottom right. So where the mass is located determines the amount of force on each of the supporting members. Members is a fancy word for the sticks or beams that are carrying the load. So we're now going to take a look at how the compression and tension members work. And so you will see this main horizontal beam that is located in the upper left and right hand corners of your screen's data. As we take a look at these, right now they are both being compressed. Right? We're seeing them under compression. So compression for the right side and compression for the left side. When I hang the mass in the middle, bottom, we are seeing that both of these sticks go under tension. They're getting pulled apart. And the reason that is because the bridge itself is wanting to collapse down the middle, and these main members have to pull outward to keep the bridge from collapsing. So instead of them compressing in together, they're pulling out, and we see that with the negative sign. Right now, I'm slightly left of center, so we are getting a different value. If I go to the other side, you can see those values literally swap. Right now, we have -10 on the right side Now we have -10 on the left side. So these force sensors are showing, if I go right in the middle, if I were to get this to balance right in the middle, which I can't do because of the way it's coupled here, I would expect to see that half of the forces would be on each side. So as I distribute this force across here, these members have to hold the bridge up from collapsing, and so they go under tension. Now, when I place the mass on the top again, we're going to take a look at the center two pieces of data. We can see that this beam here, this member, is under compression. It's a positive value. What's happening is the force is being driven down. As it's being driven down, it's coming down the member. It is then going to reach this junction here, this node at which the members meet, and it is going to send some of the force across while some of the force is going to come back up. And this beam here, as you can see, is under tension. It has a negative value because what it's going to be doing is it's going to be trying to prevent the horizontal member from collapsing. The force is getting pushed down, so this has to pull up, so we can see a difference in compression and tension. As I change the location of the mass, these beams experience different compressions and tensions. When I'm located over here on the far side, you can see that a lot of the force that is experienced is going to be compression, and this back isn't really experiencing much force at all. And you might say, well, why is that? And the answer is primarily because the forces are trying to go out to the outside, and so we do not have much force coming up these members. The forces are going down. They're going, hey, we want to get to the outside. This isn't going to give us much help here. All it's going to primarily do at this point is hold together the structure so that this bottom beam does not collapse out. But we're going to see a majority of the force staying inside this portion of the triangle located here. Well, when I come back over to the center, we now see that there is a force right down this member and then back up because we're trying to get the forces out to the outside. One of the things that we can also take a look at here is how these members act when we hang the weight over on this outer member. And when we do that, we are seeing again that both of these are trying to hold this up while a majority of the force is going across this member to try to get to the outside. So tracking the forces is an important part of structural design. It is a very dynamic process because where the mass is located changes the forces, so we want to over-engineer a lot of times. But having a knowledge of how the forces are distributed allows you to think about where you can put your supports in a structure. Sometimes the supports are not really required. Sometimes the supports don't do us much good at all. They're just extra sticks. But in many cases, we need to look at the force distribution and have a better understanding of how the forces and torques apply, because once we understand how the forces and torques apply through a structure, we can build a stronger structure that is more efficient, which means that it's a lighter structure that can withstand a greater force. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. Experimenting with this, looking at the forces, running it through simulators is very helpful. Have a wonderful day.